to From Leads to Revenue. What is your marketing really producing? Today, we're going to talk through the importance of revenue visibility, how you can make better decisions with that data, and more. So to kick things off, marketing in pest and lawn has gotten more expensive. It's gotten more competitive. And honestly, it's just harder to measure. There's so many different things going on, so many different platforms you might be working through. And honestly, it's just a lot. So most owners can tell you how many leads they got last month, but it's likely that a lot fewer can tell you how many actually turned into closed sales and how much revenue was actually produced from those leads. So that's the gap we're going to dig into today. Leads are activity, but revenue is impact. So Christin, let's start with you. You've been working on ROI reporting for years at this point. So why does this gap between leads and revenue still exist in our industry?
Yeah, I originally started looking into this around 2018 when Comarch wanted to tackle this as a problem to solve. This is something I hear a lot of different companies try to say that they have. A lot of different software companies, everybody's kind of claiming that they have ROI reporting for their solution because it's the best way for a software company or a service company to show the value to their customers. Unfortunately, it's a very hard nut to crack. And a lot of that is because every company has a little bit of a different piece of that puzzle that they're trying to solve. And the one who's going to win this race is the one that can bring all of these different things together. And what I mean by that is there are three different categories really that make this complex. The first is varying lead gen sources. So Comarch focuses solely on digital lead gen sources. And so we have visibility into how we track Google Ads, how we track GBP page conversions on the website. We have visibility into all of that. But there are other components that we as a marketing company don't manage for our customers, things like print campaigns or branding campaigns, things like that. So again, each business that works with a service provider has a little bit of a different perspective on these different lead gen sources. The second and one of the most complex piece that is difficult from the digital perspective is how many different conversion points there are for customers. So it used to just be you would go to a website and a prospect would either call you or submit a form, and that was kind of the end of it. And it was pretty easy to track leads coming in to a business through those categories. But now with the evolution of technology and Google evolving and how they want customers to interact, now we see a lot of offsite conversions through like LSA message leads that never even get to the website. And other software like live chat or e-booking that are third-party softwares not tied to our website also have a piece of that pie and how leads convert. So really the winner of this is who can connect all the different solutions together to report that full picture of ROI. And everybody just has a different piece of it. And then lastly, the third piece, and this is the bigger mountain to climb, is multi-touch attribution. Everybody kind of wants to take credit for the leads that are generated, and everybody might have a little piece of that journey. So if I'm using print and digital as an example, if you send a mailer to a company or to a prospective client or customer, the print company might say, oh, I converted that person to a sale. But us as the digital company, maybe that person saw that mailer and then Googled the company and clicked on an ad. And now your digital company is saying that they generated that lead in that sale. And a couple different things could be true. Maybe they saw the mailer and that's what caused them to convert, but maybe it was they saw the mailer, it created brand recognition, and then a few weeks later they had a need, and then they just go Google, and because you show up first in Google and because you have some brand recognition, now you convert. So there's a lot of pieces of this puzzle. It's a very complex solution, and I don't think anybody has fully cracked it, but that's definitely our mission, to put the right pieces together to get that full vision.
Yeah, when you lay it all out like that, it makes sense why this has been such a hard problem to solve, because it is so complex. So switching gears a little bit, for a long time in the pest and lawn industry, digital marketing industry for pest and lawn, leads have been the scoreboard, right? That's kind of like our guiding light. So owners are asking, how many leads did we get? What was our cost per lead? Did the volume of leads go up and down? Not even just the owners, the marketing teams in general, the ones trying to produce those leads. So here's the problem with that. In today's age, you can increase lead volume and still not grow profitably. So, Christin, from your perspective, why are leads not enough anymore for operators who actually want to grow?
Yeah, so historically, tracking leads has been the way that marketing agencies and marketing groups have proven their value. But at the end of the day, if your marketing agency is a true partner of yours, they don't just want to check off a box and say, "I generated a ton of leads for you. Look how fantastic we are." They want to have a meaningful impact on your business. So things like recurring services are more profitable for your business than one time. Selling multiple services to customers is more profitable than only selling one. Selling higher tier packages is more profitable than lower tier packages. None of that information is reflected in the number of leads generated. It's reflected in how did you close those sales and what is the value of that sale to your business. The example I always use is, just because it's a very clear cut example, is we've had companies in the past ask us, like, should I be running like Groupon ads? That generates a ton of leads, but at the end of the day, Groupon ads might get you a ton of leads, but it's going to be people who are deal shoppers, who want a lower price. They're going to maybe buy one time or low package levels. There's probably high attrition because they're probably out there searching for a better deal the next time they need service. So it's just a very unprofitable way to get leads in the door. And if I'm just looking at leads, I think Groupon's amazing. But if I really look into the details, I see it's actually having a negative impact on my business and our growth. So lots to think about there for sure.
Definitely. And I also think another point is when you don't have that visibility beyond lead count, that's where things can kind of start to break down internally. So,
Mhm.
Rachel, I would love to hear from you. What happens inside a business when owners don't actually have revenue clarity?
Sort of like Kristen was saying, for one, we don't understand the full story. High volume channels can look successful even if they rarely close, like she was saying. Or on the flip side, low volume channels can look underperforming even if they generate, high value customers. So sales issues can also be mistaken for marketing problems, and marketing budgets can be cut or increased for the wrong reasons. And then from a team standpoint, I really think we've all had that situation where marketing blames sales and sales blames marketing. And we hear, well, those were low quality leads and that's why I couldn't close them. Or the sales team doesn't know, how to actually overcome a customer's objections and close a great lead on the spot. And those are the types of things that, unfortunately, having all of this clarity could be opening some doors to some tough conversations, but good conversations nonetheless, I would say.
Awesome. And you just mentioned something about budgets, cutting marketing budgets. So it's really not even just frustrating. It's not just the friction that's caused, but it also affects how money gets spent. So
Yeah.
kind of furthering that point, Rachel, where do you see businesses overspending because they're missing that visibility?
A big area I have my eye on is local service ads. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big local service ads lover, but we've seen such a shift in the platform. Not many platforms offer you to dispute a lead and get money back. And originally, that was such an attractive aspect of it. And now, as the platform becomes a little bit more automated and costs are rising, we need to be very careful of what we're spending here. We need to shift our focus back to the visibility we once had, plus more. So I would say this is an area where I'd really like to see, true sales, true cost per sale, to see how well it's actually performing. It'll be very interesting to get our hands on that data from, a widespread angle.
So shifting gears a little bit with that note. So what does better visibility actually look like? So we agree leads alone are not enough. Guessing can create tension and potentially wasted spend, like you mentioned, Rachel. So our next question is pretty simple. What does it actually look like? What does visibility look like? What should owners realistically be able to see in order to make smarter decisions with their data? So Christin, let's shift into that. What is Coalmarch currently doing to try to help solve this visibility problem?
Yeah, so our goal is for each of the different channels in which we generate business for our customers, we're looking to be able to say, here's how, not just how many leads and get more accurate count of how many leads were driven through that, but what number of sales were closed from each ad source and what revenue was generated. Because this is even not just about the number of sales you get, it's about the revenue you get from those sales. And then the ROI from what you spent to what you got out of it. So that's like the data points we're looking to be able to share with our customers as we start tracking this. But to get a little technical for a second, just to paint the picture of what this looks like, we're starting with the most common points of conversion and the most common sources, which is the calls and the forms that come through your site and through offsite that we're able to track. And we pull that data through our tracking systems. We put tracking on every single system that we run for our customers. And through our strategic partnership with WorkWave, we're able to tap into customer CRM data and look at what closed and for how much it closed. And by connecting those 2 points together, we're able to see that journey of like, here's the lead that came in and here's the source that it is. And now I can see it closed to a sale and it generated this amount of revenue. And so over time, it's our goal to partner with other software and other companies in the industry so that we can continue to fill in some of those other gaps of, what if it comes through live chat? We have limited visibility of what's happening in that chat right now, but can we partner to increase that visibility and connect the systems? So by tracking it through that system, we're able to see that full picture. And the other piece of that is because we have the strategic partner with WorkWave, we have a system that we're able to set up that is by default, we're able to give it to all clients that are either PestPack or Real Green at no additional cost to them. So typically, if you were to build this on your own, which it's possible to build a system like this on your own, PestPack and Real Green do have APIs that you can get from them. But we're able to give it to our customers for free because of that strategic partnership. So it's just becoming a part of what we offer as our standard, which is really exciting because it just helps us do better for our customers.
I love that. It is really, really exciting to see how we're bringing that full picture together for our customers. So Rachel, on your side, when owners can actually see this level of clarity, how does it change the conversations that they're having?
It definitely gives them a bit more directional data. Will it answer every single question? Absolutely not. But it does shine a light on where the true problem is when you see that full journey from the moment you spend that dollar to the moment you make the dollar. So whether it be marketing, sales, even operations, everyone plays a role in it. And it will give you, it won't give you that full roadmap to how to fix it. It just won't. It'll give you, where to focus. You really need to rely on your individual teams to take that data and make changes with it. And I definitely think that's the most important piece of the funnel.
Definitely. So we can pinpoint where the issue is. Mm-hmm. We might not be able to completely fix it, but how can AI support making smarter decisions once we do have that visibility? How can it help get you closer to fixing that problem point?
There are so many different ways that AI can be utilized. And I feel like as an industry, pest control and lawn care, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. There are so many tools at our disposal, and we have to invest in them. They can be on the pricier side, but it is the data that it gives and the efficiency that it gives, is so helpful. So for starters, I sort of look at things in two different ways. We have quantitative data, like the number of sales attributed to local services or the close rate of local services. That only gets you so far. It answers what needs to change, like I mentioned before. But then we have the qualitative data. that allows you to answer how it needs to change, right? So whether it be through, your phone system, a call tracking system, maybe a third-party software of some kind, one of the easiest ways to get more information on the customer journey and sort of what is happening throughout this process is having AI dissect call transcripts. So maybe an example is you're not generating as many leads, as you'd like to see in Google Ads in a main location, but your marketing team needs more information to determine what needs to change with a targeting strategy in order to generate more leads. Using AI, your marketing team can review why leads are unqualified. Are Google Ads directing to, outside of the service area? Are we targeting an area that can't afford our services? We can use this qualitative data to help optimize ads, not based on feelings or a guess or maybe a quick mention from a CSR. I'm sure everyone has been in that situation where it's like, we're getting all these bad calls, what's going on? But you have true data of what is unqualified. You can start to, pull together those trends. So don't get me wrong, all of this is possible without AI, but it just takes a ton of time to manually review these phone calls and draw those trends. And you may miss trends if you're looking at it manually. So if you have the ability to incorporate AI into some type of review, definitely recommend it. Coalmarch is in the sort of beta testing period of offering an AI lead qualification component where we're actually looking at real leads. So just a great tool that needs to be in your toolbox, whether just from a sales standpoint, just from a marketing, all of it, would definitely recommend it.
So far, we've talked about better visibility, but I want to take it one step further. What actually changes when you're connecting your marketing data to your sales data? So we're not just looking at leads, but we're looking at what those leads actually turned into, because this is where things really shift from here's what marketing did to here's what marketing produced. Mm-hmm. And that's a totally different conversation. So Rachel, what do you think is the biggest mindset shift when operators see revenue instead of just leads? Like, when can this visibility cause us to maybe overcorrect?
Oh man, I've been, knowing that Christin said that we've been trying to crack the ROI, closed loop system for so long, and it's so detailed and so intense. I've been anticipating this sort of mindset shift for a while of what are people going to do when they have this data in front of them and they've never had it before. So for those who aren't able to see true revenue from marketing spend currently, I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening. I will be honest. At first, I don't think this is going to feel good. You're probably going to be thinking, I'm wasting money left and right. My cost per sale is way too high. Like, what the heck is going on? But that's solely because we haven't had the data before. So I think there's going to be a lot of assumptions that, I thought my cost per sale was this, and now I'm seeing that it's this. My advice is to not immediately go, turn it all off. It's not doing anything for me. It's not always a yes or no question. We have to use this information to make better decisions over time. So some of those things, is it immediately reallocating budget, or is it changing the way we optimize, on a specific platform? Can we get more out of our sales team to improve the cost per sale rather than, cutting off that marketing platform? So there's a lot of different things. I think the biggest mindset shift is probably convincing ourselves that performance hasn't taken some huge dip now that we have this visibility. We just need to reframe reality. Okay, this is what this is what is going on now. How do I look at this data over time? For those who are having access to this data, we are really encouraging a period of time where you just reflect. Don't make any rash decisions. Just reflect and look at a good subset of data for 3-6 months, even depending on the season. 3 months in the middle of winter doesn't give you much to go off of. So I don't want to say like a specific time period because it all depends on the time of year, but just really reflecting on that data. So we'll see how the mindset shift goes. I know many people do have access to this data, so I'm sure we have people who can advise on how to handle that new level of visibility.
Definitely. And so once people get past that initial reaction, they've had their reflection time. You mentioned, using the data to make decisions. So after that reflection period, this could really impact how we start to think about budgeting and where to spend our marketing dollars, right? So how does having this level of visibility change some of those budget conversations we might see?
Yeah. I think it makes it easier and harder at the same time. I think business owners have gotten away with not having true goals when it comes to cost per lead and cost per sale and how it truly impacts their bottom line. And it's maybe not for a lack of dedicating time and energy into figuring it out, but it is really hard. And many people don't have that capacity to invest in it. So I think shining a light on our actual numbers is going to cause us to really come to terms with what our goals are and what it's going to take to actually get to where we want to go to, revenue wise. I always want to go back to the true math equation. The numbers don't lie, and they're simple math that you can use to show exactly what you need to spend, that being the big one, in order to hit them. And marketing spend isn't costs aren't going down. So I think it can be really hard to come to terms with, okay, I need to spend more to get my goals. But having that true information. So I'll give a little shameless plug. If you go to colmarch.com/calculator, you can download a very simple marketing budget calculator. I think that's really helpful. It is a simple equation. There's no, smoke and mirrors. It's just that's how the math works. So as long as you have good data to put into the calculator, it'll show you exactly, where you need to be. So what I think this will tell us is we have the opportunity to hit goals if we invest more. Like I said, marketing costs are not going down. And we can find ways to save in other areas of the business. So if we want to grow, this is the path for it. And the numbers are not going to lie at the end of the day.
All right, Christin, so from your side, what is one example of a decision that becomes more obvious when you have this level of revenue visibility?
Yeah, absolutely. So going off of what Rachel was just saying, I think budgeting is the number one positive outcome that comes out of all of this. It's confidence in being able to make budgeting decisions. Comes down to if I have data and I feel confident that that data is accurate, I can make decisions of would I spend $1 to make $5. I think most people would say yes to that, but it's hard to say yes to that with current tracking because you don't always feel confident that those numbers are accurate. So it makes it a little bit more ambiguous to try to make those decisions. And especially for companies, if depending on how the market's performing and how their businesses are performing, typically if you're having a tight year and you really need to batten down the hatches and kind of protect yourself, a lot of people's knee-jerk reactions in those moments is to pull back on their marketing budget because it's an easy thing to cut. It's not cutting people, and you want to protect your people as a business. So we do see a lot of people pull back on that marketing spend when in reality, marketing is your way to get out of that difficult time. And if you have data to be able to confidently say, I know I can put this budget into this ad channel, like turning on a faucet of, okay, now I'm getting the leads in, and then you can go close those leads and get the job done. That puts your business in a much better spot. So just confidence in where you put your budget and how you make those decisions, especially when you're in difficult situations. So I love the clarity that it brings to customers. And that way we can help advise them on making those decisions that will help them succeed in their businesses.
Definitely. That confidence piece is so huge. Being able to make decisions off of data, not gut feeling. Decisions feel less like a risk, less like a gamble because you're working off of, true data that really helps you guide, especially during those tough situations. So we've talked a lot about revenue visibility, but what is Colmarch doing to provide a solution to some of these problems? Rachel?
I can definitely talk to that. So Performance Insights is Colmarch's reporting platform. It connects your marketing leads to closed sales and real revenue inside Pest Pack and Real Grain. So you can see exactly what marketing is producing in dollars and not just activities. So all you need to do is log in to Colmarch Performance Insights for your company and the data is right at your fingertips. right here.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So, Christin, from your side, what are some of the things that someone could see in that Performance Insights dashboard?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time as we were crafting these dashboards trying to figure out there are certain customers that we work with that really just want like the quick hitter summary data, executive level summaries of how marketing is doing. And then we have other customers that really want to get into the detail of how each specific ad group is working and be a little bit more involved in those details. So the dashboards have really been designed to give both of those types of people what they're looking for. And with that in mind, the types of information that's included, obviously what we've been talking about, revenue and ROI reporting by marketing source. So what is Google Ads producing? What is local services ads producing? How much is organic driving and like SEO driving for your business? We can parse together like paid ads overall, how that's performing versus organic, and by location as well. That's been a big part of what we wanted to make sure we were solving, so that we can see each branch that a company has and how it's performing, so that we can tweak at a location level as well as an ad channel level. So that, in addition to the key metrics of cost per lead, cost per sale, marketing spend, revenue, all of that, all included in these dashboards.
If I'm a business owner, I might be asking, what if my team isn't perfect with CRM logging? What would that look like?
Yeah, this has been a huge obstacle for us to overcome as we've worked on the different iterations of having ROI reporting. I think one of the biggest obstacles we ran into with our 1.0 release of this back several years ago was that we couldn't necessarily rely on consistent team data entry to report some of these numbers. So with this new method that we're approaching this with, we're really taking the human element out of it as much as we possibly can. I've heard a statistic from some AI call analysis that really seems to indicate that roughly 30 to 40% of actual true leads never make it into the CRM, because maybe the CSR is really busy in busy season. Maybe they have a different definition of a lead. There could be so many reasons why those leads don't get added into the system. But a salesperson is going to record the sale. Their commission depends on it. That's how the customer gets in your system. So that data point in particular is the really reliable element, and that's what we're pulling from in this piece, and using AI voice analysis to really give us better lead numbers, because there was just too many holes in how leads are reported typically. So we found some ways around the human element, and it doesn't change any of the current processes of a company. So everybody's able to operate the way they always have, and that's been a major goal with us with this new iteration. So
amazing. So Rachel, what would it require for a customer to be able to set this up on their end?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, number one, you must be users of PestPack or Real Green, and you also need to utilize the Coalmarch marketing services. It's not currently being offered as a standalone reporting platform. You must utilize Coalmarch services. But from there, it's important that your team is really diligently tracking data accurately in your system. But with that said, even partial adoption, if you do have some holes in there, it gives you more clarity than just lead only reporting. But just keep that in mind, that if your team isn't actually adding leads to the system, it can be a little bit wonky. But we'll keep the conversation open, to support tightening the process over time so that the numbers stay as trustworthy as possible. But beyond that, absolutely nothing. There are no changes or concessions you need to make in order to have this work for you and your business, which we love to see. We know that making operational changes are a big lift, so trying to eliminate that as much as possible. But yeah, I think we are really excited to offer this to the pest and lawn industries. I think it's such a game changer for PestPack and Real Green users, and we're starting our pilot program in April 2026. So definitely contact us for more information if you're interested in being part of that pilot program. We'd love to have you.
To wrap things up, a few things we know. Marketing has changed. Costs are not going down. Competition is not slowing down. And visibility into what's actually driving revenue is no longer optional. So leads are a starting point, but revenue is the goal. So if you're only measuring lead volume, you're only seeing part of that story. So whether you're ready for full ROI reporting or you're just starting to think differently about your numbers, better insight is going to change how you grow. It's going to change how you spend, how you hold your team accountable, and how confident you feel making decisions. Because the best decisions are not made on guesses, they're made on data, they're made on clarity. Because growth just gets a whole lot easier when you can actually see what's working. So thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you so much, Rachel and Christin, for your insights. See you next time.